Hello everyone, welcome to the coding tuition. This will be the last video of the Numpy series. In this video, we will understand everything about matrices in Numpy. So let's start with the video. Before going further, let us first understand what is a matrix. A matrix is basically a rectangular array of numbers. Since we are telling that a matrix is a rectangular array, it will have number of rows and columns, right? So if in a matrix there is only one row, then it is called as a row matrix, or if in a matrix there is only one column, it is called as a column matrix. If you see the matrix over here there is only one row and four columns. So since the matrix has only one row, it is called as a row matrix. Below that you can see there are four rows, but all the four rows are in a single column, so that therefore it is called as a column matrix. Other than this, if there are more than one rows and one column, that matrix is called as m into n matrix, where m is the number of rows and n is the number of columns, right? So if in a matrix there are two rows and three columns, we will call it as a 2 cross 3 matrix. I hope you all have understood what matrix is, what is a row matrix and column matrix, and what is a m cross n matrix. Here if you notice that a row matrix is nothing but a 1D array. Similarly, a column matrix is nothing but a 1D array, and a m cross n matrix a 2D array. So you might question that we already have 1D array, 2D array, then why do we need matrix? The reason why we are using matrix in Numpy is because it gives us additional functionalities. Like if we have a m cross n matrix, like suppose if we have a 3 cross 3 matrix, that is with 3 rows and 3 columns. If we want to get the diagonal elements of that matrix, if we consider the matrix as an array, what we will do, we will use for loop to get the diagonal elements. But when we convert that array, that 2D array into a matrix, there is a direct diagonal function which gives us the diagonal elements of that matrix. Okay, so let's start with how to create a matrix first. To create a matrix, there are basically two ways. One is using the array and second is using the string. So let's understand how to create a matrix using an array first. Okay, since we are creating the matrix using an array, first we need to create an array. So let's create a Numpy array. Before that, we will import Numpy. So here I have imported Numpy. Since we are using an array to create a matrix, first we require an array. So let's create an array first. A equal to, we will use the array function to create an array. We will create a 2D array with 2 rows and 3 columns, that is a 2 cross 3 matrix. Our first row will be 1, 2, 3 and our second row will be 4, 5, 6. Okay, now let's print the array. We have the 2D array. Please make a note, this is a 2D array, not a matrix. Now we will convert this 2D array into a matrix. Matrix is also a 2D array, but it has some additional functionalities. Now let's see how to convert the array to a matrix. For that, in Numpy there is already a special object matrix which we can use to convert any array into a matrix. So we will create a matrix first, matrix A, then we will use the matrix method. Inside that we will give the name of the array which we want to convert into a matrix. Since we want to convert the array A, we will give A. Okay, now we will print the matrix. Okay, so here if you notice, both previously we have printed the array A, now we have printed the matrix. Both the output is same, but when we convert an array to a matrix, we have some special functionalities which we can apply on this matrix. Okay, so in this way we can create a matrix using an array. Okay, now let's see how to create a matrix using a string. Now since we want to create a matrix using a string, now we will require a string. Let's create the string str. Okay, inside that what we will do is we will mention the elements of the matrix we want row wise. Since in the first row we need 1, 2, 3, what we will write is 1 space 2 space 3, then we will put a semicolon to indicate that here ends the first row. In the same way we can have the second row as well. So here the second row will be 4 space 5 space 6, then we will put this semicolon. Now let's enter the third row, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so here we have created a string in which inside the string we have mentioned the elements of the matrix we require, and all the elements are arranged row wise. That means first we will mention all the elements of row 1, then we will give a semicolon to specify that the first row ends here, then the second row starts 4 5 6, then we enter a semicolon. Similarly we enter the third row. At the end we have not entered the semicolon because 7 8 9 is the last row of our matrix. Now what we will do is we will create another matrix, matrix B, using the matrix method. Inside that we will provide the string. Okay, now let's print the matrix B. So here you can see the string is converted to a matrix. Okay, now I hope you have a clear idea on how to create a matrix using an array and a string. Now let us see different functionalities we can apply on a matrix. Okay, so the first functionality we will see is how to obtain the diagonal element of a matrix. Here we have created matrix B is a 3 cross 3 matrix, which is also called as a square matrix. We will get the diagonal of this matrix. If you already know about matrix, here the diagonal elements will be 1 5 and 9. Now let's see how to get using the diagonal method. Now here we will create a variable d equal to, we will use the diagonal method. Inside the diagonal method we will specify the matrix whose diagonal we want. Since we want the matrix B diagonal, we have specified that. Now let's print d. So here 1 5 9 was the diagonal element and we got the result with the help of the diagonal function. Okay, the second functionality is to get the maximum element from the matrix and the minimum element matrix. Let's see how to do this. So here we have our matrix, which is matrix B. Now to get the maximum element from the matrix, there is a function called max, which directly returns the maximum element of the matrix. Okay, so what we will write is print matrix B dot max. Okay, now let's see the result. So 9 was the maximum element, we got the result as 9. Similarly, let's see how to get the minimum element. Same as the maximum, here we are using the min function and we got the result as 1. Okay, now let's see how to get the sum and mean of a matrix. Sum is basically sum of all elements of the matrix and mean is basically the average of all elements. If we write matrix B dot sum, so we will get the sum of all elements of the matrix. Similarly, if we write matrix B dot mean, what we will get is we will get the mean of all the elements, which is 5.0. Okay, I hope this much is clear with you all. Now let's move on to the next functionalities. The next functionality is to sort a matrix. For that we have created a matrix which is a 2 cross 3 matrix, that is with 2 rows and 3 columns. So we have created the matrix using an array. So here is a matrix M, which is 5 4 1 and 2 7 0. Now we will sort the matrix in ascending order, either in row wise or column wise. So let's see how to do that. In matrix there is a sort method. Sort method takes two parameters, that is the matrix name and the axis. So matrix name is basically the name of the matrix which we want to sort. Now let us understand what is axis. So axis can take two parameters, 1 and 0. So if we mention axis as 1, then it will sort all the elements of the matrix row wise, that is it will sort the first row, then it will sort the second row and so on. And if we use axis as 0, it will sort the element column wise, that is if it will sort the first column, then second column, then third column. Okay, let us see both the approach. Okay, so here we will write sort M, which is the matrix name, and axis equal to 1. Axis equal to 1 means it will sort the matrix row wise and we will store the resulting matrix into another matrix A. Okay, now let's print A. So here if you can see, a first row of the matrix was 5 4 1. Since we have used axis as 1, here we got the row in a sorted order, which is 1 4 5. Similarly, the second row 0 2 7 is also in sorted order. Okay, now let's see the same thing with axis as 0. So here I have written sort M comma axis is equal to 0. Now let's see the result. Initially our matrix was the first column of the matrix was 5 and 2. Now it is 2 5. Similarly, this third column was 1 and 0, now it is 0 7. So here the matrix is sorted column wise. And one more thing to point is, if we don't mention the axis in the sort method, then by default the axis will be considered as 1. Now here I have not written the axis parameter, I have just written sort and the matrix name. Now let's see the result. Here we got the result as before, which is the matrix is sorted according to the row wise. So this was basically about the sorting in matrix. Now the next functionality is to get the transpose of a matrix. So what is transpose? Transpose of a matrix is basically rewriting the rows of a matrix as columns and the columns as a rows. Okay, so basically here 1 2 3 is the row, and when we transpose this matrix, then 1 2 3 will be in the column. Similarly 1 4 7 is the column. After transpose, 1 4 7 will be the row. Just write m dot transpose. This will return a transpose of matrix M, and then we will store this transpose in another matrix T. Now let's print T. So here the first row, which was 1 2 3, after transpose it became the first column. The first column 1 4 7, after transpose it became the first row. Now let's understand addition of two matrices. So here we have created two matrices. First matrix is A, in which elements are 1 2 3 and 4 5 6. Similarly the second matrix is B, elements are 2 2 2, 1 minus 1 and 2. Okay, one thing which is very important to understand while addition of matrix is the dimension of both the matrices should be same. That is, number of rows and number of columns in both the matrices should be same, so that addition and or subtraction happens successfully. When we add to both the matrix A and B, the corresponding element of the matrix will get added. That is, the first element of matrix A, which is 1, will be added to the first element of matrix B, which is 2. Okay, similarly the last element of matrix A will get added to the last element of matrix B. Now let's see how to do that. It is as simple as adding two numbers. Just we will write A plus B, and we will store the resultant matrix into another matrix C. Okay, now we will print C. So here if you notice, the first element of matrix A was 1. Similarly the first element of matrix B was 2. When we add 1 plus 2, we got 3. Second last element, that is the fifth element, was 5, and the fifth element of matrix B was minus 1. So when we add 5 and minus 1, we got 4. So this is how you add two matrices. Okay, similarly we can subtract as well. Just we have to change the operator and nothing else. Now let's see the next and the last functionality, which is multiplication of a matrix. So before understanding this, let us see the rules of matrix multiplication. The basic and the most important rule of matrix multiplication is, whenever we have two matrices, the number of columns of the first matrix should always be equal to the number of rows of the second matrix. Okay, in the first matrix there are two columns, so to make the multiplication happen, the second matrix should have two rows only. And what will be the dimension of the resultant matrix? It will be the number of rows of the first matrix and number of rows of the second matrix. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now let's see how to do it in Python. So here we have created two matrices A and B. First matrix has the dimension of 2 cross 3, that is 2 rows and 3 columns. Since the first matrix has 3 columns, the second matrix should have 3 rows. So here our second matrix has 3 rows and 2 columns. Hope this is clear. Same like addition, we have to just write A into B. That's it. Now let's print C. So here is the result. The result is the 2 cross 2 matrix, that is the number of rows of the first matrix and the number of columns of the second matrix. Okay, I hope this was clear about multiplication of matrix. So here is the end of the Numpy series. I hope you have found this helpful. If you found this helpful, then do like this video and share the videos with your friends, and please subscribe to the channel to show your support. Thank you. Bye.